Hello everyone. So my name is Toms, and in this video I will be basically giving an idea that might stick with you about why space is important for an idea, for a quality life, why we need space to expand, why we need also contraction to recoil and adapt and build resistance, as you would probably say, and how these principles can actually change the way you think about training, about thinking, and about different importances in your life or different priorities in your life. So first and foremost, I wanted to speak about the movement, because movement is that creates thought, and thought is that creates thinking, and thinking is that creates the beliefs, and so on and so forth. I thought I had a mess, someone called me. So if movement creates a thought, right, we need to then understand what allows the movement to expand, right? And in order to move a lot, move well, you need space to move. Kind of makes sense. The more space you have to move, the more capabilities, the more experiences, the more joyful, or the more, what's the word I'm trying to look for? I guess the more curious you become, the more fun your life and journey becomes, right? The less space you have equals limitations, and also more space you have, meaning you have unlimited space to use and move from and to. Whereas let's say I have this much of a space for my body to move, unless, this much, meaning, like, let's say this is 100 by 100 square meters, right? I know it's just analogy. So that means in 100 times 100 square meters, I have fucking so much to move. I can sprint, I can jump, I can, but like imagine square, right? 100 by 100 square, like I have unlimited space to move. And then imagine, 5 by 5 square meters. That means I have very little space to jump or sprint or move. So this is the same that happens in our bodies and in our brains and in our life, right? So for instance, the body, the less the minimal space we have in our shoulder joints, or any joint we have, right, we are gifted with, the less or the lack of space, the lack of experience, the lack of joint capabilities, the lack of joy in your life, the lack of flexion, the more fear you have, right? So the movement is not just aesthetically looking good, the movement is life. The movement is everything. The more space in your body you have to breathe, you have to move, you have to think, life becomes more exciting. Life becomes more fulfilled, because you don't have to live in fear. You don't have to live in an idea that, shit, my shoulders cannot do that. Shit, I can't squat all the way down. I can't learn how to surf. My knees cannot handle the snowboarding impact. There's no way I can play 20 minutes of basketball with my friends. It's pretty limited life if you think of it, right? So the teachings I provide is not just let's make you lose body weight fat, and let's improve your muscles, and let's get you in a certain look. The way I coach is I give my students an opportunity to think for themselves, because this is something that we need to understand, is movement equals quality of life. The space equals quality of life. So this is kind of psychological, physiological space I am kind of like expanding this idea through, right? We also have kind of similar way, or the way I think, through psychologically. When we are thinking, for instance, right now, I am thinking what to say, how to say it. And if my mind is too cluttered, being in a future or being in a past, it's very hard for me to articulate things because I'm overthinking, because I want to be perfect, I want to explain things perfectly, but it doesn't work like that. Or I might be thinking about work, I might be thinking about, oh, what time is it? Do I have a client? Or do I have a call? Or I haven't eaten? Or my coffee? Or how long do I have left till next meeting? That's a noise. That means, again, I'll give an analogy. Imagine you have a room, and the room, or the items in your room, represents your thoughts. And I don't know if you've been in a room or in a house that there's like fucking noise everywhere. And what do I mean by noise? Is like there's a paper there, there's a cup there, there's unfinished laundry, there are unfinished dishes, there's leftovers from last night, there's clothes over there, there's a fucking, I don't know, cat there. So there's so much to see and think about, right? So how do you even, so see that as a mind, right? The room as a mind, what's happening in your mind. How can you even allow another thought to move in if you have no space for a new thought, new idea, new way of thinking? So in order to think more, better, efficiently, consume, and then create your own interpretation from what you consume, you need to have space in your mind. You need to learn how to move with stillness, in a sense. I know this is woo-woo and cliche, but it's true. Because how can you think about something new that the mind is so busy about the future, past, anxieties, resentments, grief? And I get it, this is part of emotional journey and roller coaster that we all have, and emotions are beautiful, and without emotions the life wouldn't feel the same. But the idea I'm trying to expand and introduce you to is that in order to have a quality of life, your body needs space to move in order to think well and actually be practical thinker, efficient thinker, and thinking from your gut, your intuition, your heart, not necessarily always from your mind. You got to breathe and connect to this moment right now. And in order to create space in your mind, you have to quiet your thoughts. And you can do this with just being in a present moment, looking around, observing things, not thinking about future or past. You can do this through breath work, you can do this through movements, you can do this through meditation. And when you learn the beauty of such things, the space that you will create through these practices will make you more money, will build better relationships, will introduce you to some beautiful moments and experiences in your life. You will live with fulfillment. You will be more connected to yourself. You'll be connected to your body. You'll be connected to your intuition, to your heart, to your soul, whatever you want to call it. Space is important. When the space or the pipeline through, certain synapses or neurons, or from one body part to the other body part, or from thought to thought, or idea to idea, if the junction or that intercrossing is jammed, or there's no space because of so much happening in your body, in your tissues, in your mind, how can you learn something if you have no space to learn and, you know, put these things in your room? How can you learn new skills if you don't have a shoulder? How can you run and explore world if your hips are fucked? Same with your spine. And space is what creates experience. No matter how much money you have, no matter how many girls you're sleeping or boys you're sleeping with, no matter what manipulation you use, no matter what business you're building, and if you're so busy thinking about things that give you the life you have right now, which can be beautiful life, but ask yourself, do I have space in my body? Can I do any sport I want without having fear to injure myself? Have I got space for new ideas and for love, for my love to myself through my mind, right? That's an idea that I wanted to just share with you. Space equals beautiful life, and I think everyone should have their own way of living, of course. This is my idea, and who am I for you to believe what I got to say? I'm not a scientist, but I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me.